Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tuvos, and I'm here today to bring you guys another Space Engineers tutorial video. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to make Bruce Mark III. Bruce is a modular shuttle that is equipped with both atmospheric and ion thrusters. No hydrogen thrusters needed. What this means is that you can use Bruce for both planetary and space flight. So for example, say you are currently flying through a ravine on Earth and are having a good old time. Then you tell yourself one day, you know what? I don't like this planet anymore, I'm leaving. Then, well, you do just that. You leave. So should you feel like it, you can take off from Earth, Mars, the alien planet, or any of the moons and go straight into space, even on a full load of cargo. Keep in mind, your cargo options are a bit limited since Bruce really doesn't have too much cargo space. With only a single connector, 2 cockpits, and 4 small cargo containers, you will find yourself shuttling relatively small amounts of cargo at a time. However, with this being said, one of the biggest features of Bruce, it being a modular shuttle, is that there are modular attachments that can expand Bruce's role. For example, you can turn Bruce into a large cargo hauler with added cargo hold capacity thanks to the large cargo container, a space station builder, which is basically the large cargo hauler with a welder or grinder attached, or a light assault ship, which is an attack module composed of 2 Gatling guns, 2 Gatling turrets, and many atmospheric and ion thrusters for added maneuverability. In this case, we are attaching to the large cargo hauler module. As you can see, once we merge and connect Bruce's connector, we will have full access to the large cargo module's inventory. In addition, Bruce also has a second cockpit at the front which can be used by a co-pilot to remote control the modular attachments separately. For example, you can fly towards an enemy base and detach a fighter module for use by your co-pilot. This will allow you, as the pilot in the fighter cockpit, to attack the power base from 2 sides in a pincer-style attack. While this tutorial is using a mid-game component like ion thrusters, Bruce can still be used perfectly fine without them, albeit incomplete. So until you get some platinum by either mining in space or the moon, or through combat against pirates on planet, you won't be leaving planet anytime soon until you create those thruster components. At least, you won't be leaving in Bruce. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and show you how to make Bruce Mark III, the modular aerospace shuttle. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off, as always, make sure you build a station platform inside the planet's surface, assuming of course you're building on planets. And to start off, once you got that done, go ahead and make a new small ship. Also keep in mind this is a 3x3 platform, just for your own sake of knowing. So, like I said, start off by making a new small ship and placing the landing gear at some point where you consider the back of the station blocks. Just because we want to avoid as much deleting as possible, so we're going to be building this from the ground up without deleting anything. That's my goal with this tutorial anyways. So go ahead and place that. Then take your battery and place it on top of this landing gear so that it stands vertically like this. And make sure it is sitting on the right side of the battery, underneath. Now when you place this though, make sure the meter is facing towards the back. This actually doesn't matter too much, but this is kind of my preference because you can see the readout there on the right side. So make sure this battery meter right here that you see, actually let me place it just where I want it. See how it's sitting on the outside on the bottom of the battery? Make sure this meter right here is facing to the right and it is at the bottom right next to the landing gear. So next, take another battery, place it to the left of that same battery, except one step down, and so that the back of it is flush with the other battery, just like so. However, when you place it, make sure the meter is visible from the top and the bottom. So if we go ahead and place this, you can see the meter at the top as well as at the bottom. Now, go ahead and take another battery. You're going to have a total of 5 batteries, and make sure you place it just like the one on the other side. So just like that. So you're left with this. Then take one more battery, the 4th of the 5, and place it just like the center one. Just like that, so that you see the meter at the top and bottom. And then next, we are not going to do the 5th battery because we can't place it just yet. So first, we're going to take a fighter cockpit and place it on top of these center batteries so that the back of the cockpit is flush with the back of the batteries. So go ahead and place it right about there. And now go back to your battery and place it not here, but here. So one step above the highest batteries that you've already got. And make sure you orient it so that the meter is at the bottom, or sorry, at the bottom of the orientation. So you've got it right about here. So then next, you're going to take your oxygen generator for your small ship, and you're going to place it, where's that guy? There it is, number 7. And you're going to place it here. However, you're going to want to make it so that the small conveyor ports are facing forward, and they are vertical, just like this. Then go ahead and take your small curved conveyor tube and place it so that it's sticking out the front of the fighter cockpit and pointed downward, just like that. Then attach 3 small conveyor blocks. 1, 2, 3, just like so. Then next, you're going to create some storage. You're going to create the 4 small cargo containers, starting at the bottom, just like this. And then right above those 2. Then don't put any more. Instead, switch over to your air vent and place it so that it is sticking out the side of this small cargo, small conveyor block. Sticking out that side. Then on the right side, go ahead and take your small curved conveyor tube once more and make it so that it's sticking out this small conveyor block and sticking out forward. Once you have that in place, go ahead and take your standard cockpit and place it so that the small conveyor ports on the back is going to attach to this small conveyor tube. So you want to center it just on that block there and go ahead and place it. And now that small conveyor tube is feeding into the small conveyor port into the back of the standard cockpit. So then next we are going to start, let me actually remember what the next step, right, so first you got a little problem here. When you're building on planets and you jump in a cockpit, if there's no air in this cockpit, you're going to have a rough time breathing, especially if you don't already have ice in that generator. So to make sure you get air flowing in from that air vent before you enter the cockpit, just hover over this cargo container, hit K, bring up your menu, go to control panel, select the air vent and set to depressurize on. That way it starts taking in the air and turns blue. It'll start taking in the air from the outside and pulling that into the cockpit. So now that you have that, you can freely enter the cockpit whenever you want and not die of lack of oxygen. So that's always fun. So now that you've done that, we will now focus on the internal components used for maneuvering and otherwise other stuff with your with your shuttle. So let's go ahead and take our gyroscope and place one here and here, so it is right at the bottom of this battery and then one up. Do the same on the other side. So one here and here, so it's mirrored on both sides. Then next to these gyroscopes, go ahead and take an antenna, and I personally like to face it straight down like this, and place that right there so it's lined up with those two. And on the other side, do not put another antenna because you do not want 2 of those. It's not really necessary. So instead, let's go ahead and put an ore detector facing downward as well. That's just my preference, but either way, you want to make it so that it's vertical. You can face it upwards or downwards, your choice. It doesn't really matter. Then to the right of that, at the bottom section, go ahead and take a projector and place it here. Now, the way you want to make sure this is oriented is so that the front of the craft has this piece right here, where it's 2 vertical sights. I don't know what these things are called, but there's 2 vertical lines here, and then the top of it should have 4 of those. Well, on top. That's how you know it's angled positioned correctly. It should do this by default, but just in case it isn't, that's how you want it. And on the opposite side, go ahead and take your remote control block, wherever I put it, there it is, and place that in the same spot but on the other side, so right next to the head of the antenna. So now on top of this, go ahead and take a programming block and place that right on top of there, right above the remote control block, and do the same on the other side. So you have a total of 2 so far. Then take your timer block and place that in front of the projector, as well as in front of the remote control block. And then while you still have the projector selected, go ahead and place one right next to this landing gear right here, and then mirror that on the other side. In fact, while we're here, let's go ahead and do a step that I totally forgot to tell you guys to do, but it's fine. because it's not a necessary step since we already have a landing gear, and go ahead and place one right underneath here just like on the other side, and make sure it's facing forward just like so. And in fact, now that we got that placed, let's go ahead and access it and make sure we lock it down. There we go. Now it's locked down, so let's go ahead and continue on to the next step, and that is, well, to continue on with the current step, and that is add more internal components, because we are actually missing just, I believe, 2 more. So let's go ahead and take a timer block. Is it a timer block? No, a programming block, and place it right about here. However, do not place it on the cockpit, because in the event that this cockpit gets shot out, you don't want to lose this programming block. Batteries are far more robust, so go ahead and place it on top of the battery right around here. Then do the same on the opposite side, except not with a programming block, but rather a remote control block. Now, the orientation on this actually matters, because you're probably wondering to yourself, now, why do you have 2 remote control blocks? And well, that is because there is a particular script that I use with Bruce that requires a remote control block to be facing downward. So this is normal orientation. What you want is for it to face downward like that. So go ahead and place it the same spot as the programming block on the other side. So just like so. And you pretty much got most of your internal components set up. Now, next we're going to install 2 small reactors used to kickstart Bruce in the event that you run out of energy. This is going to be your last ditch effort to try and re-energize him if you don't have access to any solar panels or batteries to recharge them from like a station block. So go ahead and put these 2 small reactors right here and right here so that the words are facing outwards. It's next to this small curved conveyor tube. And these will essentially, like I said, be your kickstart reactors. You access these and you drop some uranium in them and set your batteries to recharge. And that is how you get back into the air in case Bruce ever runs out of energy. So once you got those in place, we will now start working on the thrusters. And actually, you know what? Before we work on the thrusters, we should actually finish off a couple more of the internal components, and that is the connector. So go ahead and grab your connector and place it underneath the standard cockpit, so not the fighter cockpit, but the regular one. And make sure we get this perfectly aligned. There we go. And then take your merge block and orient it so that it's facing down. So I think by default it looks like this. So make sure it points down with little prongy things facing down. And go to the back and just place it right on the connector and make sure it's right dead center, and it'll go perfectly fine just like that. So, yeah. So now that you got those, let's go ahead and start working on the thrusters. So to start off, go ahead and go to your large ion thrusters and place 3 of those on the back of these batteries. On each battery except for the center one, so on this one, on this one, and on this one on the right side. So just like that, these are the thrusters that will be used for your primary means of forward thrust in space, or for escaping planet gravity once you get to a certain height. Then next, we are going to actually work on placing the backwards thrust atmospheric thrusters. So before we can do that though, we need to take our light armor inventory inverse corner and place it so that it looks like this, and make sure you put it in front of the timer block and do it to each side of the ship. So just like this. Again, make sure it's oriented just like this, and then you can take your small atmospheric thruster and make sure it is facing forwards like this, so it's used for backwards thrust, and place a total of 6, so 3 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So you got a couple of like upside down L's on each side. So once you have that in place, go ahead and take your large ion thruster and make sure actually, let's make sure we get this right the first time. Let's see. We have it just like that. Okay, yeah. So we want to make sure you align it so that it is lined up with the timer block. So with the timer block right at the end of it. So you don't want to place it right here. You want to actually place it right around here. Go ahead and put that down. And then do the same on the other side. So you want to align it with the armor block there and go ahead and click so that you've got that. And then next we are going to actually place our small ion thrusters. So to do that, we are first going to place the side facing ones. So you want to place a total of 3 facing left, starting from the battery. So 1, 2, 3. I mean, you could start from any side you want as long as you place 3. And then do the same on this side. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to work on our downward facing ion thrusters. So go ahead and rotate that downward and place 3 across like this. So 1, 2, and 3. And then face it upwards, place 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. And then go right back down and place 3 more facing down, starting from the large ion thruster. So 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to do the same on the other side for these up and down thrusters. So once more, we are going to place 3 facing down. So 1, 2, 3. 3 facing up. 1, 2, 3. Oop, not there, but there. And then 3 more facing down. Now you're probably asking, why do you have so many small ion thrusters facing down? Because currently we have a total of 12. In fact, we are still missing 4 more, but the reason why we have so many downward facing ion thrusters is because you need a lot of thrust to combat the moon's gravity, because you will not have an atmosphere to help you using the atmospheric thrusters. You will only be able to use your ion thrusters, and because there is gravity on the moon, ion thrusters become less effective. So you need a lot more if you are planning on filling up Bruce with, like, say, nothing but ore, for example. So that's why you need so many. So anyways, with that in mind, let's go ahead and move on to adding some more small atmospheric thrusters. So we're going to take one of those and place it facing down, so you're using this for upward thrust, and place it right here on the front side of the battery. And then go and place one more on the rear side of the large ion thruster. Then do the same on the other side. Just like so, and just like so. Then in between these two guys, you're going to place a large atmospheric thruster, again for upward thrust. And place it right in between those two, and do the same on the other side. And I like to spin around like this. You don't have to, so see right now I'm spinning around so it looks right. You don't have to do this, but I personally like to make sure it looks correct. Again, you don't have to, that's your choice, but I personally like doing that. So once we have that, we're going to go back to our small atmospheric thruster and place 3 on top of this battery here for forward thrust. So go ahead and place 3, 1, 2, and 3. And then place 2 underneath this large ion thruster. And make sure you don't put it here. Do not put it here. Make sure it sticks out the back just a tiny bit so that it's in line with those up there. So 1 and 2 under this ion thruster. And then 2 more on this side. So just copy what you did there. And this is what I mean. It's lined up with those just fine, like that. So once you have those in place, go ahead and go back to your small ion thruster, because I totally forgot to tell you to do this part. And make sure you place 2 more side-facing ones. So place one right here on top of this battery at the front, then right here on top of this thruster at the back. And do the same on the other side. And make sure you turn around so you're not blasting yourself. Just like so. And then go ahead and go back to your small atmospheric thruster and place one facing so that you get downward thrust. So the thrust should be facing upward like this. And place one on each side of the large atmospheric thruster. So just like this. So you have one on each side. And then on each side of this thruster, go ahead and place 2 more small ion thrusters facing down. So it's right at the center of it, just like this on each side. This will also keep it in line with those. And do the same on this side. So just like so. And we're going to place just a total of 4 more atmospheric thrusters to complete all the thrusters on Bruce. However, before we can do that, we have to place a couple more armor blocks. So go ahead and take your light armor slope and place it right here at the top center. So this is the center of the large atmospheric thruster. What you want to do is put it at the center top. So right here, place 1 more right next to it, and do the same at the bottom. So 1, 2, do the same on the other side. So 1, 2, then do the same here, 1, 2, then do the same on the back side as well. So right at the top center, place one right next to it. Bottom center, make sure you've got the flat position facing the center of the thruster. Do the same on this side and this side. In case you can't see it well, let me turn on my light. This will allow you to place another small atmospheric thruster right in between, facing away from Bruce, because again, you don't want to destroy yourself by making this thruster destroy this and in turn destroy that. So make sure it's facing outward and go ahead and place that there. Do the same on this side. and then copy that exact same arrangement on this side of Bruce. Just like so, and just like so. And just like that, Bruce is, well, he's more or less complete with the exception of a couple spotlights and cameras and stuff, but that's basically the ship. So we're going to go ahead and start working on fleshing him out by adding a few more internal components. So those internal components we're going to be adding are spotlights, cameras, and Gatling guns, actually. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on. So let's start off by taking our spotlights and placing one here, and make sure it faces down, so place it facing down right on this small conveyor port on the connector, just like so. Then we're going to do the same on the back bottom, so make sure you place another spotlight right underneath the center of this large ion thruster. Make sure it's sitting on the back of it, so right around there. Make sure it's facing down and right at the edge of the, I guess technically that's the front in orientation of the ship, but anyways, just copy me like that. So then you're going to place two more spotlights, except it's going to be on top of this ion thruster. However, just make sure we don't do this incorrect. Let's reference back to our build over here. Looks like it's sitting right at the edge center, so go ahead and place it facing forward right here next to this small atmospheric thruster, and do the same on the other side, just like so. And that pretty much completes your spotlights. So next, we are going to place our cameras, and you're going to place one facing forward right on the spotlight that's facing down, so that camera is readable. And then do the same on the back side, except not on the spotlight, but on the square of this battery. And make sure, again, the camera is readable, just like that. And you're going to place one more camera, but you can't actually place it yet until you lift the ship up just a little bit. So go ahead and detach it. Go ahead and raise it up a little bit. Go underneath it. Take your camera and place it right next to the merge block. And make sure the word camera isn't like this, but rather it's the closest to the merge block as you can orient it. So just like so. And that is pretty much all your camera placements. So we're going to move on to the last internal component. I know it's probably not actually internal components, I just like calling it that, but the last one you want to place are the Gatling guns. So go ahead and take your Gatling gun and place it not on this conveyor block, and make sure you connect it to this one. You don't want it facing like this. Make sure the conveyor port is facing that direction, otherwise it won't work. And go ahead and put that there, and put the other one on the other side as well. And then go ahead and hop back into your cockpit, one of your cockpits at least, and go ahead and bring it back down, and go ahead and land it for safety's sake, because if you're building this in survival, you probably don't have that much battery life on this thing. So now that you've got this set up, that is more or less the ship. I mean, anything from this point on is armor blocks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to those. To start off, go ahead and select your armor blocks, and we are going to start off by working on the main body, so the center part of the ship. So to do that, let's go ahead and start off actually by getting back into the pilot seat and lifting it off just for a little bit longer so that we can get underneath and start placing some blocks. So your target is this. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and hop in and turn off those lights, because those can get annoying. If you don't know how I did that, just hop in the pilot seat and press L to turn the lights on and off. So once you do that, go ahead and go underneath where these batteries are and take your light armor slope that's 2x1x1, the larger one, because you're going to see two of these. There's going to be this smaller one that looks like this, and there's going to be a larger one that looks like this. So take the larger one and place it underneath and face it forward just like that, and place those all along the bottom of this ship up until you reach the spotlight. So stop there and just fill in the space just like that, just like so. And then when you get to this point, go ahead and turn them around so that they're facing backwards now, and place them on each side of the spotlight just like that. And then now go ahead and take the smaller one and place that to fill in the rest of the gap just like that. So once you have that in place, go ahead and take your light armor corner that is 2x1x1. Again, this is the bigger version. This is the smaller version right here. So take the bigger one and place it here. And do the same on the other sides and make sure it's oriented the correct direction. And then when you get to this point, turn the sucker around and place it all along the side right here. Just like that. And do the same on the other side. Make sure you orient it correctly so that's facing forward and flush with the ship and the other armor blocks, just like that. And then once you got that in place, go ahead and cap this off by using the smaller version and just fill in those gaps. Just fill in the corners right there. And then once you do that, go ahead and hop back in your ship because, again, if this is survival, you do not have that much energy to play with. So go ahead and lower the ship down and then go ahead and park it. And in fact, turn off the dampener so it doesn't try to fight the planet, because that is a losing battle for a small ship. Even large ships, but even more so for small ships. And once you have that landed, go ahead and take your light armor inverse corner block that is 2 by... Oh my gosh, these names, man. I hope you guys know what I mean, but I'm going to say it anyways. Your light armor inverse corner 2 by 1 by 1 base. Whew, that's a long name. And go ahead and place it so that it looks like this. So let's give you guys a better view. So it looks like this, and place it right above these blocks down here. So behind the... Come on. Behind the timer block. Come on. Behind the timer block. There we go. Behind the timer block and in front of it up until you reach the merge block. So only this far. So you get a total of 3. Then do the same on the other side. Behind the timer block. Just like that. Oh, and make sure you place it correctly and not like I just did and forcing me to remove something to fix it. Make sure you orient it like that. I mean, you don't have to, but this is my own personal preference to make sure it looks good. And then do it just like that. And if you had to remove any blocks, make sure you do so, and make sure you unremove them. And then, let's see, from here, we're going to go ahead and take our light armor slopes that are 2 by 1 by 1, the smaller versions, and orient them so that they look like this facing down. And place 2 of those here right behind the Gatling guns. Do it on both sides. And make sure it's facing the correct direction. And then we're going to place 2 more on the sides of the spotlights, right here at the front. And that should be it for this block. So let's go ahead and move on to the smaller version. Make sure that's facing downward as well. So just like that. And then go ahead and place that on the merge block and make sure it goes all the way across to the front up until it reaches the Gatling gun. So don't go any further than this. And then do the same on the other side. So you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so now that you've got that in place, go ahead and take your light armor corner that's 2 by 1 by 1. It's a smaller version, and go ahead and cap these ends off just like that. And then go back to your light armor slope 2 by 1 by 1, and then finish off this bottom section just like that. So you end up with this nice skirt covering the merge and connector blocks. So now that you've got that in place, go ahead and go to your regular light armor slopes and face it so that it matches this angle right here, and place it here and here, 2 of them on the side. Do the same on the other side, so 1, 2. Then cap those ends off with the light armor corners. Then take your light armor slopes once more and place it right across this, just like so. So you get this nice waistband around the cockpit. I mean, it's not a waistband, but you know what I mean. Alright, so now that we got this bottom section all armored up, let's move on to this forward top section and take our light armor corner 2 by 1 by 1 and make sure we line it up with these slopes right here. So put one there, put another here. And then take our smaller versions and just cap these ends off just like so. Do the same on the other side, just like that. Then right here at the center, take your light armor slope 2 by 1 by 1 and face it forward and just fill in the gaps. It totally makes sense when you start putting down the armor blocks, so I'm just going to assume you know what I'm doing. Then do the same except right here on the back of the cockpit. So you want to do the exact same thing but facing backwards. So orient it the right way. And take the smaller version, cap those ends off, just like so. And then in the center, place these blocks just like so, so you have that shape in the back. Then next, we are going to work on the side armor. So to do that, we are going to take our regular light armor slope and place one on top of the remote control block here, one on the side, and then do the same on the other side. Except to this projector, or not projector, this programming block, just like so. And then we're going to take our light armor inverse corner and place it so that it looks like this, and then do the same on this side but facing the other direction, so just like so. Copy the exact same thing on the other side. So this is going to look like that. That is going to look like that. So make sure the wider end is facing the thrusters. And then we are going to take our light armor corner 2x1x1, the larger version, and face it backwards here. Then place 2 of those like that, and then do the same on this side. Make sure they're pointed in these directions. Do the same on the other side of the ship. Just like so. Place 2 there. 2 there. Then take your smaller versions and place, and just kind of cap those ends off, just like that. Do the same on the other side. And you are not quite done yet once you do this. You need to do one more set, or actually 2 more sets of armor blocks, you'll see right now. So right in front of this small ion thruster, go ahead and take your light armor corner 2x1x1, the larger version, place that there, then cap the end off just like that. Do the same on the other side. Just like so. And then on the back of this ion thruster, what you're going to want is your regular light armor corner and place it just like that. Do the same on the other side. Then take your regular light armor slope and connect that across. Then take your light armor slope 2x1x1, the larger version, and point it downwards, so just like that. Place that on each side of the camera. Then take the smaller version and point it down and just put 2 more right underneath those 2. Do not put it here because the whole point of having this gap is so you don't have to jump in the ship to see how much energy is left in your ship. This will allow you to tell without actually jumping into the cockpit. So now that you got those armor pieces in place, you've pretty much armored up the entire center of Bruce. So next we are going to work on armoring up the engine bays, or the wings, or whatever you want to call this. So to do that, go ahead and grab your regular light armor corner and go ahead and cap these ends off, just like so, all 4 corners. Do the same on the other side. Just like that. Just like that. Then take your regular light armor slope and place these only on top of these ion thrusters on both sides. So both sides, and do the same on the other side. Just like so. And then next we're going to take our light armor slope 2x1x1, the smaller one, not the bigger one, and make sure we point it forward, so just like that, and place it on each of these ion thrusters, just like so. Do the same on the other side. Place 3 more so that they're facing forward, just like that. And then we are going to take this very same thing, and this can be a little tricky, but we want to place it right underneath this ion thruster. So these upward facing ones, you want to place it so that it is actually facing backwards, just like this. And then behind that, take the larger version and connect it the way it's supposed to. So just like that. Do the same on the other side. Now what this is going to do is that if we were to actually remove this ion thruster, that is the only connecting point of these small ion thrusters here. So if this guy gets blown up, these ones will just fall out of the ship, and you don't want that. You want another way of holding those in place, and that's what these armor blocks are doing. So go ahead and make sure you place it like that so that if this gets blown out, at least this is holding onto the Gatling gun. Or sorry, not the Gatling gun, but the armor block we were about to place next to the Gatling gun. So anyways, that's a brief explanation of that. So once you have those in place, let's go ahead and focus on the rest of the armor. So go ahead and take your regular light armor slope and place 2 of those across the top, just like that. 2 more across the side, or down the side I should say, and place 2 more right next to this Gatling gun and orient it like this, just like so, and place it on the other side of this armor block, and do the same on the other side of the ship. So again, 2 across the top, 2 down the side, just like that, and then 2 across the bottom where you can, and then go ahead and cap the corners off with the light armor corner. So just like that. And just like so, remember, orient it so it makes sense. And then from here, we are going to go ahead and take our light armor slope, the larger one, that is a 2x1x1, and face it forward just like that. And do that to both sides. And then 2 more along the side of the thruster, and then 3 more along the bottom of the thruster, just like that. Then again, 3 across the bottom, 3 up the side, and 1 on top is already there. Then take the smaller version and make sure we point it forward. Then do the same and just fill in these extra spaces in front of the larger version. So just 3 across the bottom, 2 up the side, and 1 on top. Then go ahead and fill in the corners with the corresponding blocks. So the light armor corner, that's 2 by 1 by 1. And then go ahead and fill in that corner as well. Just kind of cap these ends off, or these corners off. Just like that. Then like, whoops, always get confused by this. That and that. So you're left with that. So there's kind of like this empty gap right here that makes it kind of look kind of cool, at least in my perspective, or my opinion. And then go ahead and take one more light armor slope 2 by 1 by 1, the smaller version, put that right in front of the spotlight. Now keep in mind this won't actually block off the spotlight. If you were to turn on the light, you would actually see the light shining through anyways, even though there's a block in front of it, as long as it's a half block. So just keep that in mind. And that, I believe, is pretty much all the armor for Bruce. So Bruce, as it is right now, is a fully completed ship as far as the external look is concerned. So actually no, I take that back. There's actually 2 more missing parts, and actually they're not really required, but they are kind of important just so you can see what your programs are doing. So go ahead and take your text panels and place them so that they are on top of this ion thruster facing up, so that the word online is read that way. So if you were to hop in the cockpit, you can actually see it on top. And then do the same on this side. And now, Bruce is now officially complete. Alright guys, so now that we are at the next section, here we will work on renaming all the control panel components. So renaming all the different names there. So, but really quick, because I am assuming people are building this in survival, if you haven't done this yet, like I told you to, make sure you hit K, select your event, and make sure it's set to depressurize, because once again, unless you have your helmet on, or if you happen to have ice in your oxygen generator already, chances are you are losing health the moment you enter this cockpit. So again, make sure you set that air vent to depressurize. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hit K, and the first thing we want to do is rename our ship. In our case, I personally want to rename the ship to Tutorial Bruce, and hit OK. And then go and escape out of that and bring it back up. So now we see the ship name here. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to add the ship name to the end of every single one of these components. And anything that has a number next to it, get rid of the number so that all you have is just the ship name at the end of it. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and I will be back with you guys in just a moment. Okay, and we are back, and as you can see, I have renamed every single one of these control panel components so that they have the name of the ship at the end of each one. So Tutorial Bruce is at the end of each one, and anywhere where there was a number is no longer a number. So the first thing we're going to do is, before we set up the groups, is we're going to rename each one of these as needed. So say for example we have this camera, we want to know what each camera does. So we're going to view this and see what direction it's facing. In this case it's facing forward, so we're going to call the first camera the front camera. Then view this one, it is the backwards facing one, so we're going to rename the second camera as back. And then lastly, out of process elimination, we know this is the bottom facing camera. So then once we have that taken care of, we are going to scroll down to our programming blocks, and then at the end of the first one we're going to call this HORI for horizontal. This program block will be set to run a program that will keep the ship horizontal while it's flying, or while the program is running. The second one will then be called VERTI, so VERTI, which is short for vertical, and this will similarly it will keep the ship vertical in orientation with the horizon. And then lastly, the third programming block will be called Rocket. This program will manage the fuel usage while you are escaping into space. So it will adjust the forward thrust override to the perfect setting to make sure that you only use as much power as needed to maintain a specific speed. In our case, we want to maintain 100 meters a second, using the least thrust possible. Then next, go ahead and go to your first remote control block, which is, remote control block, which we know is the one that we oriented the correct direction. So this is the one that's facing forward. So because we know that, we're going to call this HORI. Then the second one we know is facing down, so we're going to call this one VERTI. If you guys want to confirm, we can actually turn on Show on HUD for both these remote control blocks and view the outside of the ship. And we could see that the one that we placed on the right side of the fighter cockpit is the one that's facing down, and it's called Verti, which is what we want. And the one that is placed to the left of the standard cockpit, right on the left side right here, is called Hori, which is exactly what we wanted. So go ahead and turn those two off from the Show on HUD because that gets kind of annoying. And then next we're going to keep on scrolling down this list until we reach the next set of blocks that we have to rename according to what their use is. And that will be the text panels. The first one we're going to call Hori because this is the text panel for the horizontal program. And then this is likewise Verti for the same reason. And then the timer block we're going to call, the first one we're going to call Hori as well. The second one we're going to call Verti. Then the third one we're going to call Rocket. And last but definitely not least, we're going to call this timer block D-merge. This is going to be the timer block used to demerge with any attached modules. Basically, it's going to be set up so that it turns the merge block on and off and only unlocks the connector because it is very important that the connector is never locked when you demerge from a module component. Or sorry, an attached module. So anyways, so now that we've renamed everything we need to, let's go ahead and set up the groups. So to set up the groups, go ahead and start off by selecting all your batteries. So click on the first one, hold shift, and click on the last one, and set this group to Tutorial Bruce Batteries. Now you don't have to call it exactly this as long as you have this set up as a battery group. So hit save. Then next, scroll down to your gyros and do the same thing. Select all your gyros and type in Tutorial Bruce gyros. Hit save. Do the same for your landing gears. Tutorial Bruce landing gears. Save. And then next, go ahead and select all your atmospheric thrusters. So type in Atmo and then thrust. Then click here and hit Control A to select all. And name these Tutorial Bruce All Aero Thrusters. Hit save. Then do the same for your ion engines. Unfortunately, the ion thrusters aren't actually called ion thrusters. They are just called simply thrusters. So that makes it a little difficult. So all you have to do is type in thrust, click here, and then start at the top and scroll just a little down until you get past right after these small atmospheric thruster. You'll start seeing thrusters called just small thruster, and click on the first one. Like before, hold shift and click on the last one. Now scroll all the way up and hold Control and make sure you select everything that is not called large atmospheric thruster. So click on this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. So you select a total of 5 and avoid anything called atmospheric, and call this group Tutorial Bruce, what are these? All ion thrusters. And hit save. And then lastly, regarding the thruster groups, we're going to type in the word forward. And then click here and hit Control A to select all. And then type in Tutorial Bruce All Forward Thrusters. And hit save. Now that you have that group set up, let's go ahead and scroll down and make sure there isn't anything else we have to set up as far as groups are concerned. And I believe that is all we need as far as groups until we start working on the programming blocks, because the programs that we want installed on this require, or rather they read from groups that are set up in your control panel. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start working on the program blocks. Actually, before we start working on the programming blocks, we are going to set up our toolbars so that they reflect the design that I have set up for Bruce in the workshop. Actually, and by the way guys, if I haven't mentioned this already, go to the description and check out and subscribe the Bruce Mark III workshop item that I have linked down in the description. And you can use that as reference as well if this tutorial is hard to follow, or if you just want to copy and paste my build. So, first off, we want to set up the toolbar for this for Bruce Mark III. So to do this, go ahead and go to your G menu and click on Weapons and Tools and right click. I'm not sure why this welder is here, but right click on the Gatling gun and to place that there. Then go to All Blocks and right click on the front camera and click on View. Right click on the back camera. Oh wait, actually no. Don't right click on the back camera. For number 3, what you actually want is to go to the Group section and right click on All Arrow Thrusters and select Toggle Block On Off. Then do the same for all ion thrusters. Toggle block on off. Then next do the batteries and set this to recharge on off because this will allow us to set the batteries to recharge on the fly. Then for number 6, now you go to your next set of cameras and right click on the back camera and select view. Right click on the bottom camera, select view. And then for number 8, this will be a timer block. And this will be the demerge timer block. So go ahead and right click on that and select that or set that to trigger now. Then on the last one, right click on the connector and then set that to switch lock. Now switch over to your second set of toolbar functions. And here we are going to put down our programming blocks. So right click on the Hori programming block and set that to run with default argument. Then second, same thing, right click, but instead of selecting default argument, just select run and type in the argument stop with 1p. Don't mistype. And hit confirm. This is what will allow you to stop the program so that you are allowed to control your ship again. And do the exact same thing with the Verdi program block. So right click, default argument, right click, run, type in the argument stop. Then again for rocket, do the same thing, do right click, run with default argument, but now instead of doing stop with run, instead of selecting run, you want to set the block to toggle block on off. Then we are almost done here with the toolbar, and the last thing you want to do are 2 different items, and go to group and then left click and drag all forward thrusters and set number 8 to increase thrust override. Then similarly do the same thing and left click and drag and set to number 9 and decrease thrust override. This, in combination with the Hori programming block, is a great form of cruise control. So if you're just cruising down planet and you want to keep your nose level with the horizon while just constantly flying forward, setting this to 1 pip while you're at max thrust and then making sure to activate this programming block will actually let you have a steady flight pattern all around the planet. So it's actually quite nice. So now, with that being said, let's move on to the programming section. Okay, so to take care of the programming blocks, go ahead and open your K menu back up, type in prog, and select the first programming block. And then go ahead and click on Edit, and you'll have nothing but just this void main string arguments, and click on Browse Workshop. And what you are going to look for is this script right here. This is the Hover Altitude Aligner in-game script. I don't really know why they call them scripts when it's just simply programs. But anyways, this will be made by an individual named Pesticide, assuming he doesn't change his name. And unfortunately, if I click on Open in Workshop, you're not actually going to see the screen I'm looking at because my recording software doesn't record the Steam overlay. But basically, look for this string in the Space Engineer's Workshop and find the Hover Altitude Aligner made by Pesticide. Once you do, go ahead and subscribe to it and then close that and hit refresh scripts and it should appear on your list. Once it does that, select the script and hit OK. And now you should have the script. And this is the most important part of any in-game script you decide to use, and that is follow the directions, please. Now, with that being said, I'm going to do the shortcut for you guys and tell you exactly what you need to do to get the script working. So, scroll down until you see this constant string group name aligner, and go ahead and type in front of aligner tutorial Bruce, or the name of your ship. In my case, it's tutorial Bruce, and at the end, call this Hori. And then go ahead and copy that, click on check code to compile it, and then remember and exit. And then what you want to do is select that same programming block because I just unselected it, and then save just that single block for now as its own group called the exact thing we just copied. And go ahead and hit save. And now you have, at the very least, that group already saved. Now, this script works by finding a group called this name and using all the components tied to it inside that group. Now, the components that we need in this group are as follows. So go ahead and, while holding down Control and having this group name selected, hold down Control and select one gyroscope. This program block is already selected. The first remote control block, because we know this is for the horizontal script. Keep scrolling down. The first text panel, because we also know this is for the horizontal script, and the first timer block, because again we know that's for the horizontal script. Now we're not done yet. Next we need to also select all arrow thrusters and all ion thrusters. Basically we need all of the thrusters in the script as well. And once you have all of those selected, you can actually scroll through and see them all selected now. Go ahead and go to block group and go ahead and press Ctrl V to paste that same group name and hit save. So now this group has all the required blocks to function properly, because in addition to doing that, we also renamed the group as seen here to match it. So it's going to find this group and control all blocks within that group. So let's go ahead and test that out by undocking from the platform and flying up to the air, making sure you have dampeners on because this will be a mess if they're not, and hit the number 1 because we set the Hori group up here with default argument. So if we hit number 1, hit it a couple times, otherwise it may not work. And we now see that the ship is working. Now, I actually left out a very important step in this whole setup process, and that is because I've recorded this part of the tutorial many times because I kept on messing up. But one step that you have to keep in mind is in this timer block, you need to make sure to set up the action so that you have the Hori programming block running with the default argument. Because if you don't, the program won't loop and you'll just won't have a working program. So make sure you make sure you follow that exact step because that is really important. So once you've done that, go ahead and hit number 1 and start testing the program, and you'll find that your ship will automatically drop to the horizon and stay aligned with it no matter what you do. Now you can force it to go past and force it to go past this way, but if you stop pressing a button, it will slowly drift back to the horizon and stay there. That is the purpose of this script. This combined with the number 8 and 9 overrides, so if you hit number 8 and hit it a few times, you essentially have cruise control because you'll always stay aligned with the horizon. And yeah, so now that we've got that part of the script working, let's go ahead and hit number 2 to stop it. So now we have free control of the ship now. And go ahead and do the same for the Verti programming block. So again, type in program, click on the Verti block, hit edit, browse workshop, select the very same hover altitude aligner, and hit OK. Scroll down until you see, just scroll down one tick and go to the aligner name, and again change this to tutorial Bruce aligner, but instead of Hori, type in Verti. Go ahead and copy that, check code to compile, and click on remember and exit. Now this will be a little bit easier because we're going to select this, and then we're going to change a couple items here by holding down Control and deselecting this programming block and selecting the second one because we know this is for Verti. Select the remote control block and and then select the second one because again we know this is for Verti. Then do the same thing for the text panel and same thing for the timer block. And then here go ahead and change Hori to Verti, or you can do Control A and Control V because we copied it from the script. Then go ahead and click save. And this is the part that I told you that I did off screen, but if we click here and click on setup action, we want to right click on the Verti programming block and set to run with default argument. Then go ahead and hit escape, and let's go ahead and test this program out. Okay, so the last time I recorded this video, this whole ship started flipping out, so I really hope it doesn't do it again this time. So cross your fingers, you aim your ship up just a little bit, so to test its corrective nature, and hit number 3 because we have that set up to run the Verti script. It should work after the second try. Thank you! And now the ship is pointing directly up into the sky and is ready for takeoff into space. So now to implement the script that is used to control the thrusters for conserving as much fuel while going straight into space at 100 meters a second. So go ahead and hit number 4 to stop the script and reposition yourself back to a horizontal level. You could even use the script you set up before this, the horizontal script, to take care of this for you. And just like that, we've got a few things automated already. See, that's the nice thing about programming blocks. So I'll go ahead and hit number 2 to disable that script. And let's start working on the rocket script. Okay, so to get the rocket script working, go ahead and type in prog once again. Select the rocket script, which should be the third block. Click on Edit. Click on Browse Workshop. And the script you are looking for is the Liftoff Manager, formerly Ascent Override Control. I know it's a long name, but if we go to the Steam Workshop, it will be made by a Steam user, again, assuming they don't change their name, a Steam user by the name of Dan123. So go ahead and search for that script, subscribe to it, and then once you subscribe to it, click on Refresh Scripts, and then it should appear on this list. Once it appears on the list, this is how it looks as of January 6th. So, again, most important thing is you follow the instructions, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to just simply get it working based on what we've got. So, the first instruction is to put thrusters you want to a control group called Rocket Up Thrusters. Fortunately, we've already got a group set up for the forward thrusters, so what we're going to do is change this string here to match the group name we've set for our forward thrusters, and that is tutorial Bruce, and then we've named it all forward thrusters, just like that. Now, the next step is to have a remote control block on the grid, which we do have, a timer named Rocket Timer Block. Now, our timer is not named this, so what we're going to do is change this name to match what our timer is called. And our timer is called Timer Block Tutorial Bruce Rocket, all caps. So now that we've set that up, we don't have to actually worry about this LCD display because this is actually optional, so don't worry about this. So once we have these two things changed in the script, go ahead and click on Check Code, OK, remember and exit. And then from here, we are going to actually go down to the timer block we've set up for the rocket and click on Setup Actions, and then right-click on the programmable block for the rocket program, right-click, run with default arguments, and now we are set. So to test the script, we can go ahead and select our programming script that is made to point our nose directly up. So hit number 3, we'll point our nose directly to the sky, and since we've already got our toolbar set up for the programming script for the rocket, for the fuel management program, we can go ahead and hit number 5 and watch it work. And sometimes you have to hit it twice to get the scripts working. But as it is right now, it's actually already working. So we are watching it do its magic. So I am going to be back with you guys once we get closer to space so we can see it at the end of its work. Also guys, take note, currently our fuel time is at 26 minutes. As we start to slowly approach space, we'll notice that the fuel time increases because the program is set up to manage our power usage so that we only use as much thrust as needed. Now, also, keep in mind, I've actually forgotten to mention one part about the script, and we need to edit one more value. So if you type in prog, go to the rocket and click edit, we actually have to change this top speed because we are no longer allowed to go as high as 104.4. The new limit is now currently 100 meters a second as of January 6th. So go ahead and click on check code after you made that change. Remember and exit. Then hit number 5 a couple times to make sure that the program is running with that new value. And then watch it do its work. So I hope this script is now working as needed, so I'm going to get back to you guys once I've confirmed that. Okay, and sure enough, as we get further and further away from the planet, we notice that our fuel time is now increasing to 56 minutes, up to 1 hour, and as we get further and further out, that fuel time will increase even further. And the moment that we no longer have any gravity on us, our inertial dampeners will kick in and we'll come to a complete stop. So that is the benefit of the script. So now that we know that is working just fine, so I'm going to leave that alone and let it do its thing. In the meantime, we're going to do one last thing and set up the timer block for demerging. So we're going to decrease the delay down to 1 second, set up the actions, And for the first part, we are going to set the merge block to, so click on the merge, right click on the merge block and set toggle block on off. And then right click on the connector and make sure, this is very important, I believe I mentioned this earlier, set this to unlock only. The reason why is because if the connector is connected and you decide to demerge from any module attachment, things will explode. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you set this to unlock. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and double check and make sure the timer block is working. So hit number 8 and the merge block should now be off. You can verify because if we hit number 8 again, it should light up. You can actually just keep on hitting and you can see it turning on and off. So we know it's working. And that is pretty much the last step in this tutorial for Bruce Mark III. So, without further ado, I hope you guys try this tutorial and try to build Bruce Mark III on your own. Let me know how it goes in the comment section below, and if you have any questions, let me know in those very same comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. So, until next time guys, have a nice day. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and leave a like. If you really liked and would like to see more of this kind of stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. On the top left will be the previous episode of my tutorial series for space engineers, where I showed you guys how to make a flying mining ship called Nemo. And on the bottom left is the link to the current playlist of space engineers survival on planets with Dark Overlord. So go ahead and give that a check out if you want to see some gameplay of this game. And yeah, so once again, thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.